Welcome back. So here, in this next game, we're going to have Sandbush Senior and White Tigers. Two players. White Tigers has played for a very long time in our ATX VGC Monday Night Friendlies, and Sand, I believe, has played, I think, almost every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks, so getting to be one of the ATX VGC regulars here, so...
Yeah, no, I really enjoy watching both of these players play, and I think they always bring like very interesting teams. And we see a Galarian Articuno, something we haven't seen very often, and again a third Cinderace of the night in just 3 sets.
Yeah, looks like Saiyan is waiting for the code from Tigers. I haven't seen Tigers in chat tonight. Let me go double check and make sure that he is good to go for this. Okay, look, we got Tigers chatting in Discord right now, so they're just figuring out the code. In the meantime, yeah, it is really interesting. It feels like we haven't seen a ton of Cinderace, and all of a sudden we are seeing a lot of it here in each of the first 3 sets.
Yeah.
Do you feel like... yeah, my question for that is, do you feel like that's a shift that's going on in the meta right now, or do you think we're just seeing some folks who maybe saw one team and were inspired to try some other stuff?
Yeah, I would say I think it's a bit of an anomaly. Personally, when laddering, I haven't really seen it. But then again, I ladder at really random times, and it could be like 4 a.m. when I'm laddering, and so that might not be indicative of the meta overall. And so I don't particularly know. I would say that it's not, especially looking at a lot of the common teams that have done well, both like overseas and American. I don't think I've seen a lot of Cinderace. I know I just really haven't seen it all in Japan. I know Liberty Note has been posting a bunch of teams, and there haven't been, I don't think, any Cinderace on those teams. But I think it could potentially be good. It's still very strong and very fast.
Yeah.
And Libero is a kind of broken ability.
Yeah, especially having so much versatility in your max moves and being able to hit so many of the potential threats so hard. I feel like it's always going to have some kind of a place in the meta. It might not be as dominant as, say, Series 4 right when it got Libero, but or Series 5, which caused it to get banned for Series 6. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a good Pokemon, just based on those stats alongside that ability. Continue to be really strong, so...
We see again the players pick the battle tower rules, so we will get to be seeing the nicknames again for this set. Something that makes it a little bit more enjoyable to everyone watching, seeing a little bit of the personalization to the team.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna make me actually have to nickname my teams. I'm usually finishing my team like 5 minutes before an event, so making sure I have the right names is not always necessarily like first on my priority list, but I know that you do a lot of thought going into your Pokemon naming.
Oh, I don't think I've probably entered, what, 20 tournaments this year, 25? I don't think there's been a single tournament where I brought a Pokemon without a nickname.
Yeah.
Each individual one has to have its own nickname, so...
You're quite good at doing the theming around it as well. Like, all right, this team is going to be entirely Avatar: The Last Airbender characters. This team is going to be, you know, some of my favorite albums. Was it specifically Ariana albums, or was it just albums?
There was just albums in general. Like, different teams had different albums for their themes, and then it's just gotten to a point where I have so many of the Pokemon already bred in game that you'll just see a team that I have, and it'll just be a complete mismatch of nicknames, where some of them are characters from TV shows, some of them are song names, and they'll be like completely different things, and it's kind of funny. So.
Uh-oh, looks like we're having some issues with... Yeah, they gotta get the normal rules. Okay. I guess maybe a Pokemon isn't... I missed exactly what it was. Might be someone not being battle ready or something.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I see Santaco's mentioning some nicknames of his Pokemon. We got Shiny Guzzlord being named at Nibs Plays Games because he's the #1 fan. That's a good one. That's a quite good one. Also, while we're in this brief lull, I'm going to go ahead and try and show off the sticker. It's been weird with my green screen. It's been trying to block it out. But this is our sticker. I'm going to try and get it closer to the screen. Nope, that's where it hits the issue. But yeah, so if y'all want to get these stickers, they will be available for sale starting shortly. Our goal is to go ahead and have up by next Monday night. we are going to have these stickers alongside the Choice Band headbands. So
Yeah, no, I was really excited for the headbands, and I am definitely going to be wearing this as often as I can, I will say that.
yeah. And Chase, our resident headband connoisseur expert, I don't know how to best describe you, but yeah, how would you describe the kind of like feel of these headbands?
I think I've tried it both just straight up, and like I folded this one this time. I think both ways it's incredibly comfortable. It ties really well in the back, and it doesn't really like squeeze your head as you're wearing it, but it does fit on tightly to where you don't have to worry about it. So I think it's just a pretty high quality.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm wearing mine more like a kind of like French headband where it's not actually holding any hair back, it's just sitting on top of my hair. It's got the full design while Chase has got the folded one. So we've got that Choice Band design as well as our logo inside of the Choice Band and the ATX VGC running underneath it. So if y'all want to go ahead and check those out, we will have those available for sale starting next week. If you're local, I will do either pick up or drop off with you. If you're further away, we'll get it shipped to you. So potentially in time for the holidays. I don't know. We'll see.
And I didn't catch if you said the price, but do we have a pricing on those?
Yeah, I believe it's gonna. Let me. I need to double check with credit card transaction fees and everything to make sure that we're still good. But it's gonna be somewhere in the $12 to $15 range. It's just depending on the finalized credit card transaction fee. They might be taking more than I'd really like. So we'll figure that out here shortly. But likely close to like $12.50, I think, is about what we're targeting right now.
Awesome. And we have a question in chat. What is our one move that we can go for when we're wearing Choice Band?
That's a good question. I think mine's Ally Switch Max Guard.
I don't think that really works when you're locked into a Choice Band, but hey.
All right. That was more of a joke for a move I did on Chase a while ago. So here we have the leads right off the bat. We've got, we're going to be seeing this shiny, very cool Metagross next to the Cinderace, as well as from Tigers we're going to have the Incineroar and the Galarian Articuno.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting lead because both players are sort of in a good position, sort of in a poor position based on the typings, although I think we're seeing this as a supportive Cinderace with coaching. So maybe Saiyan has a secret tech up their sleeve with this coaching plus Rockfall into the Articuno. I'd be interested to see how this works.
Hey, the Ticking Tiki, thanks for the follow. Looks like you got a competition here, Tiki, for another Tiki.
Oh no! First, there's identity theft in the Discord, and now it's moved to Twitch.
Thanks so much for that follow, the Tiki. So here we see the fake out coming out from that Incineroar into the Cinderace, shutting down anything that it wanted to go for, as well as a Tailwind coming out from that Articuno. So it's going to set the rest of Tiger's team up to be pretty fast. We do see the reveal of Max Rockfall on this Metagross, a common adjustment to the meta to try and hit those Rotom Heats a little bit harder. But also really helpful here in taking out that Galarian Articuno.
Yeah, it's also like incredibly helpful for dealing with Moltres. You would think, oh, Ice Punch is about the same, but you get more favorable rolls and more favorable, like, on both defensive and offensive when you have Sand Up versus when you have Hail Up. Because, again, when you have Hail Up, you're damaging both yourself and the Moltres every turn, but with Sand Up, you're only damaging the Moltres. So it just helps out that small little bit in making things better. I think we're going to be seeing a Dynamax Flygon, something I don't believe we've seen on stream before.
Yeah, I think we've seen one Flygon before, but this is going to be the first time I'm pretty sure we're seeing a Dynamax here. Tiger's always known for he's been trying to make several different dragons work. It was Dragonite for a while, now it's Flygon. I'm excited to see what's going on here. We do see the Cinderace use the Ally Switch, and Libero makes it a normal type Pokemon.
It makes it Psychic, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Psychic.
Yeah.
I was thinking all support moves move to normal for some reason, because the only support move I'm used to seeing is Protect. Or Status move, not support.
weird mechanics question.
Yeah.
If you're a libero and you go for max guard that's not a normal type, do you turn to normal type or do you turn to whatever type the move is?
Ooh, good question. I think that the technical max move is always normal type. Like when you go to select it, it is always normal type. It's not based on the underlying move. Oh, and the Metagross gets burned actually there from, was that a Flare Blitz that burned it?
I believe that was a Flare Blitz burn. That is really rough.
Oof, that is incredibly unlucky, as now this Incineroar is able to live that Max Quake pretty handily. Looks like it's going to take probably one more Max Quake for it to be taken down. I guess after Sand Chip, definitely one more should do it, although with the Pinch Berry, it should live. It's two more to KO.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough turn. Ally switching yourself into a Flare Blitz burn. I don't know if there's... I don't know really what can be said about that other than that's just really poor luck. And at this point with the Nihilego coming in, I don't think it's going to be able to survive a Max Quake, even though it looks like it is either max defense or a high defense stat.
Yeah. Facing down an offensive Flygon, that's going to be pretty rough positioning here. So we do see potentially just trying to bait out a Max Quake here, and the Rillaboom should take that better. But perhaps Tigers didn't fall for that, and there's just maybe a Max Worm in that slot or something else. That play wouldn't make much sense. But yeah, the Max Quake could also be coming out to the Metagross, but nope, it is just into that Rillaboom, doing just under about 1/3, it looked like.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage for a not very effective move. Rillaboom is no slouch defensively, and this makes me really wonder whether or not it's special or physical on the... Did that proc a weakness policy?
Well, no, the Flare Blitz would have it if it had been weakness policy.
So
yeah, a fairly free Snarl into the Nihilego if you don't think that it's going to be going for damage into you with something like the Meteor Beam is the word that I was looking for. So in this position, if you're Tigers, you have to really think about what Sand might be doing again with that Rillaboom. Is it going to switch back into the Nihilego to take a max Airstream incredibly well? Is it if you're Tigers, you don't necessarily want to get another not very effective attack off with your Dynamax. You really want to try and get a lot of damage off.
Yeah, and at this point, honestly, the safest play is probably just max quaking into the Metagross slot and just ignoring that Rillaboom slot. Maybe Flare Blitzing it as well or parting shotting into that slot. Knowing that only one of these Pokemon can switch out, and if you quake the Metagross, there's not really a switch in that can come in, knowing it's Nihilego in the back.
Yeah. Unless we see something like Ally Switch Metagross here, I don't know. I don't know that it gets it. I don't want it to, but you know what?
It does Ally Switch.
It's a Psychic type. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I don't think there's... I wonder, do the legendary, like Necrozma and Solgaleo, do they get Ally Switch? Because I know Bronzong gets it, I know Metagross gets it, but I feel like the big Steel Psychic types don't get it.
Yeah. So here the Grassy Glide is actually enough, despite being not very effective, to go ahead and pick up the KO onto that Incineroar, as Rillaboom looks to be Life Orb Rillaboom.
Yeah, that's an interesting item choice. It's not something you see particularly common, but it seems to be the best choice in this scenario.
Yeah, definitely enough to pick up that KO there. So now with this Metagross down, it is only a Nihilego against a Undynamax Flygon, and you have your Rillaboom in a position to where you are threatening a Grassy Glide. It's all. I think a lot of it's going to come down to what's Tiger's last Pokemon here.
Mm-hmm. And so we've seen the Incineroar and the Articuno so far. Odds are it's probably something like the Celesteela.
Yeah, maybe Tapu Fini. You don't want to see Tapu Fini here. Okay, good. It is Celesteela. I was like...
Yeah. And the interesting thing here is, does Grassy like KO Flygon from here? If it was Banded, I would say probably. Because it's Life Orb, I'm not sure that damage roll. I would say it just comes a little bit short, so maybe you have to both Meteor Beam and Grassy Glide the Flygon slot. Although then that opens you up to, does this Flygon protect?
Yeah, for sure. So we do see Saiyan deciding here to go ahead and split the attacks. Let's get a... knowing that a lot of Celesteelas tend to run something like an Assault Vest, perhaps not being afraid of a Protect there. So we see the Grassy Glide go into the Protect for the Flygon as the Meteor Beam will go ahead and start this really cool animation here. I'm glad that no one's Dynamax so we can actually see it. The +1 speed, oh, I feel like I just jinxed it by saying we actually get to see it. I hope it doesn't miss now. Okay, good, it connects. I was worried I just jinxed it. Such a cool move. That's enough to one-hit KO the Celestial with a critical hit.
Critical hit.
Oof.
Oh, man. I guess that makes up a bit for the burn earlier in the game, but it's always rough to see that late game just going down to that extra 1.5 times damage that you really is out of your control. And now at this point, a Grassy Glide plus a Sludge Bomb should just pick up a KO on this Flaglon.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm Tigers, I might try and preserve some information. Or maybe if I am interested, does a Grassy Glide, is that enough to one-hit KO from here?
Mm-hmm. My guess is it lives in the red. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I would guess.
Yeah, kind of a crazy game here where we get to see a Flare Blitz into a burn as well as a crit Meteor Beam. So the Grassy Glide does go off, and that is enough to KO. So
yeah, I think if I was Tigers, the best place to just protect until grassy terrain is over and just keep protecting. But at that point, it was just so unlikely to win anyways. Maybe try to survive the Grassy Glide and go from there.
Yeah, for sure. If you survive the Grassy Glide, the problem was he didn't get a speed boost, I don't believe, onto that Flagon, so it's not like it's not like you're gonna be outspeeding a Nihilego.
Yeah. I mean that is true. I mean if you're just dying to Grassy Glide anyways, there's not anything you can do at all.
Yeah. So here in game number 2, I'm curious the adjustments from both these players. The Tailwind was really nice, I think, for Tigers in that game, having that Flagon be faster. But really, I think the big play was that burn onto the Metagross. It allowed Tigers to just functionally ignore it wholesale. It might have been something that ultimately kind of hampered him a little bit, though. I think he did get good information that it's not a weakness policy Metagross. I think that should be relatively obvious next to Comfy Moltres, that Moltres is probably going to be weakness policy, but, you know, stranger things have happened.
Hey, I played a Comfy Moltres team in the Pokepod Cup, and the Metagross was the one with the weakness policy, and the Moltres had a Life Orb.
Yep.
Not exactly sure what was going on there, but yeah, it was a good team still, so I guess Comfy can do more than just self-proc weakness policies.
Yep. Updating our overlay there with Saiyan taking game number 1. But yeah, that critical hit was really big there in the end as well. I would guess if that opposing Celesteela was something like Assault Vest, then it probably would have... I mean, it definitely would have lived a +1 Meteor Beam and then gotten a lot of damage off in return to Nihilego.
I believe Assault Vest Celesteela would just live even the crit. So... The one issue is if it is Assault Vest, it's probably special, and it's not going to be doing very much in return. A Flash Cannon's probably barely a 2-hit KO to the Nihilego. You would need something like Heavy Slam to get that KO. But...
yeah. You know, the one thing I forgot to do earlier is I wanted to give a quick shout out to the person whose game feed we're using right now. So shout out to Saiyan Bush Sr. So y'all should go give Saiyan a follow over there.
Yeah, for sure. And potentially you'll see more of this content with the Metagross and the coaching supportive Cinderace, because I really want to see this get a coaching off.
Ooh, that's an interesting force set too. With that Assault Vest. I just looking for the first time. But yeah, having access to... I won't say it on stream. I know Tigers isn't here watching, but... Oh. Yeah, so because we are using the feed coming from Saiyan, his overlay will still have those follower alerts for him. That was so thanks the Pickley for following Saiyan. I'll say it for him.
Yeah, that's pretty funny that we just happened to see that.
Yeah.
It looks like Saiyan's making a quick adjustment this time and targeting down this Incineroar before it has a chance to Flare Blitz burn again. Potentially the better option, whereas the Articuno isn't really threatening the Metagross.
Yeah. Saying in the chat, saying my bad, thanks for the follow. Don't worry about it. We appreciate you using your, letting us use your game feed. So here we do see the supportive Cinderace get a chance to go for that coaching boost on turn number 1.
And because there was no fake out, we might just see a parting shot here, or maybe even just a flare blitz again into this into this Metagross and
Snarl. I guess trying to potentially catch something like the Nihilego in a switch in. But yeah, this max Rockfall here, +1, not burned, gonna be doing enough damage to pick up the KO on that Incineroar this time around.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm not particularly sure what can get through this Metagross.
Yeah, the problem is that you've got to devote a turn to KOing Cinderace. I suppose Articuno is in a position right now, especially as a fighting Cinderace, where something like an expanding force outside of Psychic Terrain should pick it off.
It'll probably be Freezing Glare over expanding force.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, because Articuno is not on the ground, it does not get that boost.
Yep, I always forget the grounded benefits. It's also so confusing because the seeds, you don't have to be grounded in order to benefit from Electric Seed or Psychic Seed.
Yeah, I don't really understand how that works, but hey. I think the interesting thing here is finding out whether or not this Flygon is physical or special, something that it could technically run both. So trying to take out this Flygon with a Steel Spike is probably your safest option, although at this point, who knows?
Yep, we see Flygon just opt to go ahead and go for the Earthquake right away, not wanting to play ally switch games. Maybe also just thinking Earthquake into Freezing Glare is going to be enough. Looks like perhaps trying to call that switch, or maybe get the side benefit of a freeze.
Yeah, I think it was calling the ally switch, and this is the issue with ally switch is sometimes the mind games of it give you two moves at once.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go for the ally switch, but you get the benefits of it while also getting the benefit of whatever move you did go for in that turn.
Yeah, it's something like, as opposed to something like Follow Me or Rage Powder, where you can safely target it into one slot and know if they click it, it gets redirected. If they don't click it, it's still hitting exactly what I want it to. As opposed to this, you have to play the mind games of, well, if they click it, I need to target over there, and all that mess.
Yeah, and at this point, this Celesteela is going to have its back against the wall trying to KO what looks like 3 or 4 Pokemon at once if this Articuno goes down this turn. And this Articuno probably goes down through Protect.
Yeah, Articuno is faster, so maybe just go for another Freezing Glare. Cross your fingers that, like, maybe somehow you end up getting a freeze. But that's not really the end game you really want to be hoping for. What is it? Is it a 30% chance on that, or is it something lower?
I really hope it's not 30. I think it's either 10 or 20. But I will say, I think Saiyan probably would have been a little bit better off switching the Cinderace out this turn. Just giving you a turn after Tailwind's over to click Pyro Ball into this Celesteela, although it probably isn't going to end up mattering with it having little to no way through this Metagross and everything else all at once.
It does have a 10% chance to freeze. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was worried it was like discharge percentages.
Yeah. Wasn't Blizzard like a 30% chance to freeze in Gen 1?
Yeah, I believe it was.
What an incredible move. Who thought of that?
And who decided to add it back into the game with higher base power, guaranteed accuracy, with no chance to freeze at least. But we might just be seeing that in GS Cup next year with the Ghost Rider Calyrex Swarm.
Yeah. Okay, so interestingly enough, that Saiyan really doesn't have anything to touch this Celesteela. Although if it is like just mono Steel Spike on it, it's gonna have a tough time through this Metagross with only Heavy Slam.
Yeah.
It's actually better off not being Dynamax, having access to things like Leech Seed and Substitute, which I believe this is Substitute Leech Seed.
Yeah, Sub Leech Seed makes sense, given the fact that it's not going to be Assault Vest based on the damage from the first turn. Potentially trying to get some Steel Spike boost to better live against the Rillaboom, and then end up in a Sub Leech Seed Protect endgame. Yeah.
The issue is going to be if Saiyan plays this right after Dynamax is up, it's going to be this Metagross and the Nihilego, pretty much both at full HP, having to deal with this Celesteela, so it can't really substitute up for free.
Yeah, so it looks like it's probably going to be this mono Steel Spike here, as it does just a little bit of damage there into the Rillaboom.
Yeah, I think something. It was a tough position because the Flygon was going down Dynamaxed or not, so you had to find a way to deal with this Metagross with another Pokemon on your team, potentially bringing the Tapu Fini and trying to get Calm Minds off. But the one issue is it looks like Tigers' team is just a little bit walled by Metagross.
Yeah, especially this Assault Vest Metagross variant here. With it is physical Flygon, which is good information for Game 3 for both for Saiyan here. But yeah, I think that Tigers needs that Flygon. We also see an interesting reveal here on Rillaboom. We see a Swords Dance Rillaboom with Life Orb.
Yeah, sadly, its 2 coverage moves are not effective
and immune,
and 4 times not very effective to this. Oh, that Max Quake?
No, that was Max Steel Spike.
No, it was Max Quake. We get the special defense boost and the super effective hit. So maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
Although that means it either A, doesn't have Substitute, or B, doesn't have Leech Seed, which makes it even more difficult to win here.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I saw Steel Spike again, but perhaps it was Quake. And I guess we'll see how the endgame plays out here. You also notably can't Leech Seed the Rillaboom.
Yeah, although this Rillaboom is going to be doing like 4% damage with its +2 Grassy Glide.
+2 Life Orb Grassy Glide. Have you ever seen anything sadder than the amount of damage that does?
Yeah. It's just doing no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, Iron Head here, still doing not a ton of damage as the Leech Seed does come out here, hoping to go ahead and get a lot of health back from this Pokemon.
And I think... Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say, with the leftovers, it is really nice. Unfortunately, you're not going to be benefiting from the Grassy Terrain recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the issue here is that Sans kind of put himself in a position where there's not really a free switch to Nihilego, so potentially Tigers can 3v1 with the Celesteela, which Celesteela is like the most broken Pokemon of all time, so it definitely can 3v1 this.
Yeah, you do have to start to potentially be considering a timer endgame if you're saying.
Mm-hmm. The one issue here is that switching out this Metagross will have you lose the +2 defense and +2 attack, and at that point then you just don't have any way through this. So maybe like a Rock Slide and a switch here. I think the Rillaboom probably needs to either switch out or keep setting up.
Yeah, another Sword Stance here, gonna definitely be trying to help it do more. +4 Life Orb Rillaboom. Potentially Grassy Glide might be doing a little bit more. The only issue is you're gonna start running out of Grassy Terrain turns as well. So that Grassy Glide gonna be doing less damage. We see the Heavy Slam come out from from that Celesteela into the Rillaboom, doing, a non-zero amount of damage. That's a good 20, 25, 30% maybe. But yeah, definitely going to be tough to continue at this rate. The other thing to note is Saiyan continues to use moves that could potentially flinch Celesteela. We saw Iron Head as well as Rock Slide. So that could be another potential win con for Saiyan. Is just go for enough 30% chance flinches. You should end up flinching a couple of times, and it might just be just the right time.
Yeah, I think the issue is that Saiyan needs to get this Nihilego in before it's too late. Because another Beast Boost in the Celesteela is at +2 special defense, and it's just going to be at full HP, and Meteor Beam, while it will do a lot, I mean, do you just get KO'd by a Heavy Slam at this point?
Yeah. For sure. So here we see the Protect is revealed as the 4th attack on the Celesteela. We've got Leech Seed, Protect, Heavy Slam, and the ground move that we saw earlier.
I believe it's only ground moves or is Earthquake. I don't think it gets Stomping Tantrum, and I know it doesn't get High Horsepower.
Yeah, so perhaps trying to stall out this Grassy Terrain before wanting to go for that ground move.
Imagine if it got like Scorching Sands.
Oof.
And you could just run like Flash Cannon Scorching Sands.
Yeah, so now we do have this Rillaboom here outside of Grassy Terrain. So Grassy Glide will be doing about 30% less damage. It does have more boosts than the last time it tried this, so let's see this Nihilego, let's see how the switch works out.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, switching in on a turn where Grassy Terrain is not up, potentially this Celesteela could be going for Earthquake this turn.
Yeah, it would be really devastating, as it is just a Heavy Slam here into The Rillaboom slot. Ooh, almost getting the KO.
Yeah, not enough to KO is very important there, knowing that now it doesn't get another Beast Boost, and then you can go for the Meteor Beam this turn.
You do have to be a little bit careful and try and bait out that Protect before you go for the Meteor Beam. Last time around, obviously, unprotected, it just went ahead and KO'd with the crit. But this time, Tigers might decide instead to Protect.
Yeah. Knowing that you are at +1 special defense at this point, it's not as big of an issue, but I think Saiyan's making the best play calling the Protect. So next turn you can Meteor Beam and Rock Slide, potentially trying to get a flinch, and then put yourself in the position to continuously flinch it as you go for Power Gem.
Yeah, for sure. So here we see the Celesteela opt for the Protect, calling that Meteor Beam, as Nihilego makes the safer play and goes for the Power Gem. Celesteela here has continued to heal back up with those leftovers, no longer getting the Leech Seed, but yeah, we are in for what feels like a pretty long end game here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is very reminiscent of Series 5 Ferrothorn.
Yep.
But hey, all it takes is one flinch from a Rock Slide. And honestly, at this point, going for Iron Head is probably a safer play, because they have the same flinch chance and will probably be doing about the same amount of damage at this point.
Yeah, and no chance of missing that Iron Head as opposed to the, Oh, it missed.
Oh.
It avoided. And it is Stomping Tantrum that it gets access to.
And, yeah, that'll be the end of the game.
Yeah. Celesteela gets the Beast Boost. No longer going to be as important, boosting up the special defense. As the Celesteela, the main threat is now gone.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised a Pokemon that large and slow can be agile enough to avoid multiple attacks, but hey, we are where we are because of that.
Yeah, that was a very that's one of the challenges of those 90%, 95% accurate moves. You miss way more than you really should.
Yeah. I think this is like incredibly reminiscent of one of the Top Cut games in the Texas Tour. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, that was just yesterday. Wow.
We saw a critical hit onto the Celesteela game 1, and then the Celesteela dodged the Meteor Beam game 2, and then Celesteelas either have the worst or best luck and experience on this channel.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So we see Tigers go ahead and get the win there. I'll go ahead and get that updated in our overlay, and we are going to be going to a game 3 here. Very interesting position. It's one of those things where if you have a Celesteela, you have a way.
Yeah, and I think the big issue is that Saiyan did not switch out that Cinderace and let it get KO'd by the Freezing Glare, because keeping that Cinderace around at least for one more turn would have allowed it to Pyro Ball the Celesteela out of max. So that would have been more important.
Yeah. Hey, Hodor1992. Thanks for the follow. I think, is that Mocha / Rowan? Or is that... I think that might be someone else from Pokesports. I was like, I recognize the name from somewhere. Oh, Chris P, that's right. I played you in the Pokesports stuff. That's right. Okay, just making sure. I was like, I know that name from somewhere, and I know I originally played both Chris P and Mocha, Rowan, who was on the channel earlier, in the same group back in Pokesports, as well as Angel Lost here. I think that we were all played at one point in a group together. So, yeah, definitely some big momentum shifts in that last game. Sounds like you identified one potential way for Saiyan to go ahead and make it through a little bit easier, is saving that Cinderace and getting a Pyro Ball before those Steel Spikes go up might be really nice.
Yeah, and another thing that we're going to end up seeing is maybe just this Moltres, kind of just going through everything with Max Darkness drops, Nasty Plots, Berserk boosts, and everything. Yeah,
it definitely seems to have a pretty favorable matchup. The Celesteela could give it a little bit of trouble since you can't hit it super effectively, but you hit it neutrally, and if you're boosted, it's still gonna hit really hard neutrally.
Yeah. And we see the adjustment on both ends here, actually, with the Raichu leading. The Raichu coming only the game that the Moltres comes. Unlucky for Saiyan there.
Yeah, for sure. So potentially looking for some kind of form of speed control against that Metagross. Going for something like a Nuzzle might have been nice, or just some paralysis chances. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure there.
Ally switch, ally switch, ally switch. I think honestly it's optimal because you can ally switch and max darkness the Raichu, and then you can draining kiss KO it from Sash the next turn, so it can't nuzzle you.
Yeah.
Which is super important. The other thing is you could. I wonder if Airstream puts it in range of draining kiss. I would doubt it, but it could possibly.
Yeah, for sure. We do see that as what actually gets clicked into. So, oh my gosh, yeah, Angel Loss, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I didn't edit that VOD. That was back when my GPU died, and I haven't posted anything to my personal YouTube since that. And I'm also behind on ATX VGC catch-ups. I will get that eventually posted, don't worry. So here, turn 1, Max coming out from Flygon. Matching that Max is the Galarian Moltres. Interestingly enough, the Flygon is faster than the Moltres or speed tying it.
Yeah, I would assume it's just max speed Flygon being a base 100, whereas Moltres is base 90. Although it could be some weird speed tie at like 146 speed, trying to outspeed Venusaurs. I would tend to guess both are max speed though.
Yeah, so we just see the Fake Out come out from Raichu, which has a higher priority than the Ally Switch, and a Max Quake into that Comfy as well.
Yeah, and that's definitely, yeah, I was going to say, definitely not enough to KO. While Comfy does look like a frail Pokemon, it is pretty bulky when you invest it properly.
Yeah, critically though, it does raise the special defense for both these Pokemon, both Flygon and Raichu. It doesn't really matter on Raichu because I take it back. It might have mattered significantly on Raichu. Raichu's typically, that's probably an Assault Vest Raichu based on that damage. But Raichus are typically Sash and don't really take a whole lot of damage.
I was gonna say that very well might be Sash, just like max HP Sash.
Yeah, max HP Sash.
Yeah, I was gonna say max HP plus a +1 boost that looks about right for the damage. It could be like no HP Assault Vest as well. They have about the same calc. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see here. Both players kind of wasting a turn of Dynamax for 60% of their support Pokemon on the opposing side.
Yeah, for sure. And now Satan is free to go for that Ally Switch play yet again as Raichu goes for the Nuzzle, which will paralyze the Comfey. Not something that matters as much in Comfey's speed tiers because most of its moves have priority, and we see the Max Quake trying to call the no Ally Switch, and unfortunately for Tiger is going to lose the Raichu and also going to go ahead and have the entire turn of his Dynamax wasted.
Yeah, you forget one thing about paralysis though. No one clicks Nuzzle for the speed control. They click it for the you're not going to do anything next turn effect of it.
Yeah, but now I feel like that's worse against Ally Switch because you could correctly call the fact that they go for Ally Switch and instead got full parried and could not Ally Switch.
Yeah, and now the Draining Kiss goes off, and I assume we're going to get a Max Darkness into either Flygon. Oh, I was going to say into Celesteal is probably a little bit safer of a play. Did you see the self-proc?
Yeah, there is no full paralysis on this turn, as Comfy gets a little bit of health back from its friend there in Moltres, and Moltres, in exchange for that health, gets up to +2.
You know, I've got to say, being a Flygon where you can click Max Quake, I was going to say, you have to use a coverage move here, because you can't click Max Quake and get it wrong on Ally Switch. You also can't click Max Wormwind and get it wrong on Ally Switch, so it looks like the only play was Max Rockball, and luckily enough, it looks like it put it in range, the Comfy in range of Sandchip.
Yeah, for sure. And now the Max Darkness into this -1 Flygon now is just enough to KO from +2.
Yeah, that's really rough. And now the Celesteal is at -1 special defense, with Cinderace being able to come in and the Celesteal not really being able to switch out.
Yeah. The Celesteela has now set Leech Seed for itself, which is nice. Potentially going to find some way of picking off a KO, and the Comfy lives on 3 HP.
Potentially that's better for Tigers now that Tigers could like heavy slam that slot and get a Beast Boost. So I would be careful if I was saying, but at this point you can just continuously click Fiery Wrath.
Yeah, Fiery Wrath is gonna likely lead to some flinches, I imagine, as well. This Articuno not really wanting to be here.
Yeah. The combination of Floral Healing and Fiery Wrath. I honestly, if I were in Saiyans position, I would switch out just in case that Celesteal gets a Beast Boost. But there's really not that much that Tigers can do at this point because there's actually something to hit the Celesteal this time.
Yeah, and the Fiery, notably the Beast Boost would only reset Celesteal back to neutral. It would not get it up to any kind of boosted stage, and so neutral now versus the +2 Moltres. Moltres definitely looking like the right call for this game 3.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure Celesteela survives this. I would assume it does, but it's going to be doing probably 75-80%.
Oh, yeah. It does get the heavy slam off here into, the Moltres.
Oh no, and there's Berserk.
Yeah, this game 3 basically could not have gone worse for Tigers, it feels like.
An important thing to note is that the Articuno is faster than this Moltres, so it potentially could get an attack off and KO it if it gets, or maybe an air slash flinch. Could put Tigers back in this game. Maybe even a KO because of the Leech Seed damage.
Yeah, it could also go for something along the lines of Tailwind into another Heavy Slam, get the KO. If you think your Celesteela, the Moltres, we know, did not actually get any kind of speed boosts during its Dynamax turn, so.
I was going to say, Saiyan had a pretty safe play of going into Nihilego there and being able to KO this Articuno before it could do anything, and then Fiery Wrath. But choosing to go into the Cinderace and maybe clicking Ally Switch?
Yep, that's another mind game that gets played here where, a Cinderace as a Psychic type or a Fire type is going to be resisting that Heavy Slam and potentially not having to take too much damage from it. And forcing Tigers yet again to try and read whether or not an Ally Switch is coming out here.
Yeah, the issue is, like, you either have to call the Ally Switch and not protect your Celesteela, which it looks like Tigers did, or you have to not call the Ally Switch and protect the Celesteela when a Pyro Ball could come out.
We do see the Tailwind play here. If Tigers called it correctly, he could have just found his way back into this game.
Yeah, and it's Heavy Slam?
It is Heavy Slam into the Moltres, which will bring it back up to neutral special defense.
Yeah, and at this point, Sam has kind of made it in a much tougher position for himself, whereas he could have just gone into Nihilego, either Meteor Beamed or Power Gem to this Articuno, and made it a lot easier of a win con.
Yeah, perhaps after last game, feeling a little gun shy on clicking Meteor Beam after missing really rough positioning from the end game in game number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But Tigers finally calls an Ally Switch, right?
Honestly, the optimal play here is to Ally Switch in Trick Room.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It does come down to trying to have to predict yet another, or it forces Tigers to predict yet another Ally Switch because, again, the Cinderace is still here on the field. So, if the Heavy Slam correctly goes into the Nihilego, though, it could go ahead and kind of dash Tigers' hopes as, Pyro Ball being really the only attacking move. It can do a lot of damage, but a double up from Celesteela and Articuno gonna kind of continually, I think, be enough to chip it down.
I will say something I did not realize beforehand is that this is more than likely a super bulky Nihilego, meaning it is not max speed. So it wasn't a guaranteed play to be able to just bring in the Nihilego if it does happen to be slower than the Moltres and the Articuno. So, and it looks like Tigers is just not protecting the Celesteela at any point in time.
Ooh. The Articuno does end up with the burn there as the Celesteela goes for the Stomping Tantrum, this time into that Nihilego, gets the KO, going to be denying Trick Room. But this Articuno also should be going down here with the combination of both Sand and Burn Chip.
Yeah, and at this point, I actually think it's slightly out of range.
Yeah, I think it's going to live one more.
But at this point, I don't think a Articuno attack will KO Cinderace from here. I don't think a flying move will KO Cinderace. And Pyro Ball should be able to take out Celesteela from here, I would guess. Although Freezing Glare might just pick it up from this range. I think you have to Pyro Ball the Celesteela and just hope that you survive Articuno's attack.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hopefully, rest of the way we don't see anything like a Pyro Ball miss or anything along those lines. There's another Freezing Glare here coming out from the Articuno. Going to be doing some big damage into this Cinderace, and it is just enough to go ahead and pick up that KO. Tigers goes ahead and takes the set.
Yeah, GG's to both of these players. It was a really tough endgame because you had to figure out, do I Ally Switch? Do I predict Ally Switch? Do I not Ally Switch? Do I expect them to predict Ally Switch? And it just created way too many mind games.
Yeah, whole lot of questioning. Who, when there are so many Pokemon that have Ally Switch there, it is very difficult to make those calls correctly. Tigers we saw struggling with that, but then making the calls when they needed to happen. Just enough to clinch it out. So really well played by both of our players there. Really cool stuff.